Everyone, hope everything is going well. All right, so I wanted to look at Warren Buffett. And it's an article from Yahoo Finance. I just haven't had the time to do this video. I wanted to do it last week. I should have done it last week. But it says Warren Buffett dumped several banks after spotting red flags in their financials, what spooked them, and which stocks he sold. In this article, it talks about he believed that these banks were taking dumb risk and using deceptive accountings to flatter their earnings. So basically to pump up their earnings. And this is some of the red flags. I'm quite interested in what he has to say. But let's take a look. Buffett noticed that several banks were valuing their assets at cost instead of market value, which artificially inflated their profits and misled investors and analysts, he told CNBC. They also made a fundamental error by mismatching assets and liabilities. He noted, for example, they took customer deposits that could be withdrawn immediately and used them to buy long-dated government bonds and mortgage-backed securities. SVB did that and collapsed under a wave of withdrawals in March. So very interesting. Now let's go further. Buffett also seemed to address as Wells Fargo wager. Specifically, the 92-year-old billionaire invested in scandal-hit Wall Street Titan in 1989, counted as a cornerstone of his stock portfolio for many years, but sold the last of his shares in the first quarter of 2022. I did sell the banks that we owned for 25 or 30 years. I just think the system isn't quite set up in terms of connecting punishment to culprits. It's incredibly important that your banking system runs well. And it says Berkshire has exited its stakes in JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, M&T Bank, and PNC Financial over the past 3 years. And then it talks about other banks as well. It slashed its BNY Mellon stake by 69%. And then it does have some exposure to banks. But this is really interesting. If the Oracle of Omaha is basically cutting down its exposure to banks that he's held for nearly 30 years, you have to ask yourself the question, why? What does he see that the average Joe can't see? Now, the average Joe is kind of worried about the economy. We do see some layoffs, unfortunately, going on. And there's always banking issues going on, or there's stress underneath the surface. But if Warren Buffett's doing this, I would take a quick note. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, I talk about on my sports card channel. I should have talked more about it here. Look at the Fed funds rate right now. Let's look at this, the effective Fed funds rate, okay? Effective Fed funds rate is what, 4.83%, something around there. What's the 10-year yield? Or let's look at the 5-year yield. 5-year treasury rate, what, 3.6%? About 3.66. What's the 10-year yield? Because everyone likes looking at the 10-year yield because that's the most important yield out there for these sophisticated people. 3.56. So you're telling me the effective Fed funds rate is 4.83%, like the very short-term interest rate, and a 10-year is 3.5%. That's a red flag. And then if you look at the 5-year rate, that's 3.6%. Let's look at the 2-year rate. Let's try to get a little closer. 2-year treasury yield. What is that? What is it? 4.17? 4.18? Still, what, 70 basis points higher? Or whatever, close to 70 basis points higher? That's a red flag. Inverted yield curve is not good. So Warren Buffett sees something that he does not like at all. And it's probably a warning sign for in the next year and a half. We're probably going to see something crazy happen in the economy. While the markets could be pumped up for the next year, following that pump, oh man, this does not look good in my opinion. Just being flat out honest. All right. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Remember, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Thank you. Bye.